Hello, my name is Robbie. I go by the pronouns he, him, and we are here for the fourth and final session of My Life with Master, which concerns itself with a character named Louis Auguste, who is a aristocrat with plenty of resources at his disposal. And this master is under the impression that he is going to design a new revolutionary form of theater and spectacle. And if this new theater and spectacle is unsafe or unethical in any way, Louis Auguste is not really concerned with that. It's like on with the show for him, and he's kind of pushing things forward. And we are here with the Gauntlet, and I have three excellent players. And I'm going to go around now and have the players introduce themselves and their characters. And we are going to then move into a scene. So I'm just going to go left to right across my screen, and we'll start with Pearl.
Hello. There's the mute button that I always miss. I'm Pearl. I use she. Milo. Sorry, my dog is wanting to also participate. I'm Pearl. I use she, her pronouns. I'm playing BuPu. I typically introduce my characters in character, but I'm going to mostly not, just because BuPu is not good at talking, and trying to do that has been challenging. So BuPu is a minion of Louis Auguste, and she has two sort of condition-y things as per the game. One is her more than human, which is that she doesn't feel pain except when she's inflicting it on someone else, and then she feels whatever she's inflicting. And her less than human is that she can't really talk like anything but a cave woman unless she's directly quoting something or something that she's memorized. So something that was said to her or an aphorism that she's read. She is pretty good-hearted, but has been living under Louis Auguste basically her whole life. So she has a lot of scars and is kind of hunched over and typically wears rags and is overlooked by all the townspeople, which is sad for her, but she's pretty resigned to it. She has a great fondness for EkEk, who you will meet in a moment, and feels kinship with him among other people. She is sympathetic to pretty much everybody. And her tiny bit of more of like in character is like, hello, BuPu, no good words, good heart, BuPu hopes.
Okay. And Stentor?
So I'm Stentor Danielson, and I am playing Handsome Hal. So Hal used to be homely Hal, but he had his appearance enhanced by Count Louis Auguste and is now kind of the PR guy for the operation. Because I'm captivatingly beautiful unless someone publicly criticizes some aspect of my appearance, but I can't show sadness, anger, or any other negative emotion unless nobody is looking at me.
Okay. And finally, Walter.
Hi, I'm Walter, he, him, and I am playing EkEk, also he, him. And EkEk is a monster. EkEk was born this weird bird-like birdman with a deformed face and these bat-like wings and talons. And EkEk has always kind of lived on the margins of society, just sort of, pushed away from ever really belonging. But the master, Count Louis Auguste, took EkEk in, seeing his usefulness because EkEk can fly and can be vicious when he needs to be. In fact, he's already killed someone who was spying on the master. But lately he's had a bit of a turn. His heart has been softened a bit by the meeting some of the townspeople and BuPu telling him that she thinks he's beautiful, and so he has recently become a bit more heroic in reaching out toward the normal people who he used to feel rejected by completely. So that is where we are with EkEk.
Okay. And we are in the midst of a little trip that the minions have taken to the kingdom of Valhellion. And at this particular moment, there is a young woman named Narella, who is a gymnast, and EkEk and BuPu have kind of intervened to save her from an unsafe condition. But the situation is that Louis Auguste, the master, gave BuPu explicit instruction that on this trip to Valhellion, her mission was to recruit some new gymnasts, athletes who can kind of replace some of the injured trapeze artists that have plummeted to the ground when they've been kind of trying out this new kind of spectacle that is involving some kind of high-flying acrobatic work. So BuPu is there to do that. And EkEk, you also are kind of involved in this because one of the reasons why Louis Auguste sent EkEk was to give some backup. And right, if BuPu needed some additional help to kind of get acrobats, gymnasts, and it required some muscle, then EkEk was supposed to be there to provide some intimidation.
Right,
backup.
and it was at BuPu's command that EkEk went and held together the parallel bars that were falling apart and endangering Narella.
Right. So let's go into the scene now with Narella. Narella is there with BuPu. Narella has kind of initially was taken aback when EkEk made the appearance, because his appearance is somewhat let us say unusual, and not something that most people would be expecting. And also, just to make sure that I'm correct about this, EkEk, are you currently drunk at this point?
That's a good question. So BuPu gave some alcohol to EkEk so that he wouldn't smell horrendously bad, because he doesn't smell when he's drunk. But it's not clear how much time has passed since we left the audience of the Queen. I could go either way, whether or not I'm still a bit tipsy, or if that's worn off. And I mean, in my mind, I think it's probably just starting to wear off, and EkEk's probably starting to stink like crazy again.
Yeah, so you're kind of have a slight buzz right now, but not as bad as when you were in the palace in front of the Queen. Okay, so yeah, Narella says to BuPu, I see why you came here so quickly. Thank you for preventing. You know, I had no idea that these bars that I was swinging on, that the cabling had come undone. I was so focused on my routine.
BuPu has seen before bad bars, cables, people hurt. So BuPu help.
Yeah, I know that Briscoe, our coach, always tells us to look carefully at the equipment before we use it, and usually I'm pretty careful about that, but obviously maybe I was just too excited about performing today that I didn't take the care that I should have. Thank you very much. And you're not from here.
No. BuPu
And certainly
from far.
certainly your companion is not from here. I would definitely remember somebody like that.
EkEk special.
Yeah, I
One
guess
EkEk only.
I guess you could say he's special. He's also a little, well, I mean, his appearance is a little strange, and he certainly has a certain odor to him.
EkEk no smell like BuPu, you, but EkEk heart, good. EkEk fly, EkEk help. All you, me, EkEk, all Milo hush, but have no good and good. But we see the good and bad is okay then.
Yeah, and at this point, Briscoe, who is also there, the coach, he says, "Yeah, again, thank you all both very much. But look, we've got our workout to complete. We've got a big competition that's coming up, and we need to get back to work. So if you'll excuse us, we will get back to it."
Out of character for a second. Did EkEk fix the cables or just like hold them together until Norella was off?
I think he definitely stopped the routine of Norella, because she, when he made the appearance, she realized that he was there. Her concentration was broken. I think EkEk definitely kind of pointed out the broken cabling that was there, and she had kind of gotten off the equipment by that point.
Okay, but he didn't fix it officially.
No, I mean, I think Briscoe would kind of, after having seen it, he would have kind of, taken the kind of measures to, kind of tighten things back up and get it all connected together again.
Okay. Then back into character days. You fix bars. Norella, no get hurt.
Briscoe says, yes, the bars are fixed now. I've made sure that they are secure. And Norella, you need to make sure in the future that you double check everything. You can even triple check it. Taking a few extra, seconds to ensure the safety of the equipment is of highest priority. And Norella, responds, of course. But Briscoe says, okay, let's go back through that routine again.
Norella, good. Say bad. You equipment. Norella, fly.
You said new equipment?
You equipment.
Yes.
Norella, fly. No yell, Norella, for you equipment.
Oh, you're objecting to the fact that I was brusque with Norella.
She almost hurt. EkEk save.
Yes, yes. EkEk, your companion, who really should do something about his odor, if you know. I mean, not only is his appearance a little unusual, but he has that smell. But thank you very much. But we really need to get back to our objective here, which is to kind of finish some training.
EkEk beautiful. EkEk help. You no safe.
You don't
No
think
say bad. EkEk. No say bad. Norella. You no safe.
I'm safe?
You bards. You all things. Check. You.
Yes. Yes. Oh, you think I should double check everything? Well, I do check things, but look, we have, and he points that around. He waves his arm and says, "Look," and there are other gymnasts performing on other pieces of equipment. He says, the gymnasts are taught that they have responsibility for this as well.
Mm-hmm. BuPu watch. EkEk watch.
Okay, so you watch, and you see Norella there, and with it all secured, it's not falling apart anymore. She does a terrific routine. If you scan around, you will see, other young men and young women who are kind of very obviously highly trained athletes and acrobats, gymnasts, kind of performing on pommel horses and things of that sort.
How near to me is EkEk at this point?
I think EkEk is maybe like just kind of like standing off to the side, close enough he can watch. But EkEk knows that whenever he gets too close to people, they turn up their nose and give him horrible looks. So he's kind of staying downwind of people. So he might be a little out of the way, but you can see him and talk to him.
Okay. So I think BuPu goes over to EkEk. What EkEk think?
The master said, bring gymnasts. So many gymnasts. So many,
Yes. Good. All good.
Yes.
But master no good to them. We bring they hurt? Maybe.
But master said, bring gymnasts. That's why we're here. Bring the gymnasts.
Maybe BuPu and EkEk choose good.
But master said, master's be very mad. Master wants us back. He'd be very mad. We have to do what master says.
BuPu knows. But BuPu is sad.
Oh, no, it's okay, BuPu. Don't be sad. It's okay. We do what the master says. Then he doesn't hurt us as much. It's better that way.
I'm wondering if this, because BuPu is hesitating here in carrying out this order. So let's go on. And do you want to roll for the resistance to the command?
Yeah, I think I do. Can someone copy the keeper?
Oh, yeah, let me do that again. I'll put the keeper up. And I also do the roll for your party again.
I just put up the roll for party.
Thank you. Okay. Dun, 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 dun. So, for resisting the master, I was just writing this down. I roll love minus weariness.
Yes, and the master is going to get fear plus your self-loathing. What is your self-loathing right now?
I'm about to check.
You have one.
One self-loathing. Okay. And my love is at 1. No, wait, I'm looking at the wrong person. At 2, right? Unless I'm missing anything. So
Minus
2
weariness.
minus weariness
Just 2.
equals, so I only get 1 die.
So you roll 1, and I will roll 5.
Well, that doesn't sound like it's gonna go well, is it?
Yeah, and these are always the 4-sided die.
So I have 2. I'm gonna assume you just get more than 2 with 5 dice.
Yeah. So yeah, you will not be able to resist. Your fear of the master, and your own self-loathing is high enough that you're going to have to do something to try to get some recruits.
Okay. So speaking to EkEk again. BuPu, guess EkEk, right? Master, mad. No can hurt BuPu, but could hurt EkEk. So I help bring, just sad.
So what is
Yep.
what is BuPu going to do then? I mean, your BuPu is agreeing that to EkEk that she's going to have to follow through. So what exactly is BuPu's plan here?
I think I was going to ask EkEk what to do, because like not wanting to do it and being sad, I think I'm too dejected to really know what to do, but realize I sort of have to do it anyway, if that makes sense. What BuPu do?
Well, I could grab one.
One.
That's a yeah.
One enough for master?
Hal might know. He could ask them.
Hal,
People do things when Hal asks them.
Hal has good words,
Yeah.
and people like Hal face. Where Hal?
Handsome Hal had an audience with the Queen. I think at the last scene he had. Is that right?
As far as I remember.
Yeah. So I think you all would know. You all would know that he would be kind of either back at the palace or at probably at your quarters that you've been kind of entertained as dignitaries of sorts. So I think bringing Handsome Hal, or you could certainly kind of find Handsome Hal. That I don't think that would be a problem for you.
Maybe we go get Hal, bring here. He help.
Okay.
So yeah, we can. How about we just jump to that? Hal,
Yeah.
would you join us?
Sure.
Yeah, because Hal's basic job has been, I think, taken care of from last time. He's gotten some assurance from the Queen that she's going to investigate some of these the journalist reporting to kind of and the spying that has been done. So yeah, you can bring back Handsome. Handsome Hal can come back, and this is a fairly busy operation that they have in terms of where the athletes, they'll have like one crew come in and have a training session, but then they go and get washed up, but another crew will kind of come in at the then to kind of do their training session.
Okay, so we all arrive back at the circus or whatever it is.
Right, yeah, at the training facility that they have set up.
How talk to good fly people. Convince, come with us.
Oh, I mean, I can try, certainly.
Master mad, if no bring.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's probably easiest if we talk to them first. Saves us a lot of trouble with the kidnapping and stuff. That can get a little dicey, especially when we're abroad. So yeah, I can have a talk with them.
Okay. So at this point, you don't see Norella anymore, but you certainly see other, similar, well-trained gymnasts who are there performing. And, BuPu, your eye.
Okay, so we're actually at the gym when this is happening.
Or they get you and
okay, I was envisioning us at back at our quarters. But yeah, it's probably quicker to fast forward to when we're actually.
Where did Handsome Hal go?
Maybe the Queen called him. He has an audience.
Oh, there he is.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to click over to one of the other tabs and accidentally hit the home button, and it took my tab somewhere else.
I was just gonna kind of quickly put you back at there, and we could imagine maybe on the way that they would be discussing with you, the ideas about how to accomplish the task of getting some gymnasts.
Yeah, and so I'm imagining that we probably have authorization to promise them all kinds of things from Count Louis Auguste, and it's kind of on him whether he would actually follow through with that.
Yeah, and I think
enticing these people into coming along.
Yeah, I mean, Louis Auguste is definitely, by any means necessary, you need to get some gymnasts. And, right.
Okay. So I think that I'm going to begin with the classic villain ploy of suggesting that they could get some great exposure for their art if they came and performed for Count Louis Auguste. So I'll find some of them that are not, currently up on the equipment and stuff that are warming up or something, and kind of slide on up to them and see, there's some great shows that happen here in Valhellion, but I think where the real action is, and where where you'll get a really sophisticated and global audience is really to perform for Count Louis Auguste. And a lot of people have really launched their careers being performers in his shows, because he really has his finger on the pulse of the theater and performance world today. and kind of give them a spiel of that sort.
Yeah, there's a young woman named Delitia who kind of seems to be kind of the leader of this group, and she's kind of listening to you and says, "Well, we've heard about Louis Auguste, and we've even seen reports in our newspapers, but he seems to have some kind of pretty far out ideas." I think at this point, let's go on and do the role of villainy against an NPC opponent and see how that turns out.
Okay.
So you get your fear, which is
fear
4
plus self-loathing. Sorry, too many tabs going on here. Okay. So fear plus self-loathing, so that's going to be 10.
Yeah, we can just clear all of the ones away.
There we go. Okay. So I get to roll 10 of them. And so that's 6.
And I think that there's not going to be.
Yeah, it's an 18.
Yeah. Yeah. So Delitia will say, we've seen these reports, but it seemed like pretty far out ideas, and there is some suggestion that this is not safe. I mean, I'm intrigued by this.
It's avant-garde. You have to take risks for your art.
And you okay? Yeah, I mean everything involves a risk. Is it reasonably safe though? I mean, what kinds of? I mean that's a concern that I have given the reports that have been coming out.
I mean, look at my beautiful face. Would I seriously endanger this? If it wasn't safe, I wouldn't be here.
Yeah, they are stricken with you. There's no doubt, right? That you kind of have their, you have their focus and their attention, and you were successful in your role, so you're going to be successful in getting a group of these. And I think part of it would be, assuring them like that they're also, not only are they smitten with you, but the idea that this is avant-garde and that this is going to kind of give them some type of fame and notoriety is very appealing. So let's say that you get Delitia and a couple of her friends interested in trying this out. Yeah, they would probably ask about the accommodations and what kind of compensation and things like that would be provided. I mean, Louis Auguste does give decent accommodations, and he has wealth at his disposal. So
Yeah, and I think I can talk it up and overpromise anyway, because once they get there, where are they going to go? At that point, we have other means of keeping them around. Right. So I can, promise them whatever I want to promise them, and flash them my gorgeous smile to seal the deal.
Okay, so and this will mean that your self-loathing is going to increase. But I think that actually is going to result not in that, but in, because what is your love plus your reason right now?
Yeah, reason is 4. My love is actually 3, because I have some love with the queen.
Right.
So my self-loathing can actually go up 1 more.
Okay, so it will go up. It will go up 1 more then. So we're going to fast forward now, and the mission is fairly successful, and you have these Delitia and her two companions who are going to be going back with you, and you've had these kind of assurances from Queen Sophia that she will kind of be looking into the spying and the kind of journalist reporting. And let's go on and just fast forward back to Malvonia. You know, the return trip would be uneventful. And when you get back at the gate, you would be met by a guard who would say, "Oh, Louis Auguste is kind of expecting you and is eager to see what the results of your mission are." And I was given instructions that as soon as you appeared, that I take you to go and see him. And so he would then lead you to Louis Auguste. We're going to put this scene in his magnificent library. He has a very, very large library that also has a small little platform stage at one end of it, where you know he can have like a very small little groups performing. And when you all walk in, Louis Auguste, who is sitting at one of his desks reading, and he looks up and you know, he sees you and says, "BuPu, Hal, EkEk, I trust that your mission was a success."
It was a resounding success, Your Grace. I forget if we've established the title or the address that we use for him, but
yeah, I think anything like Your Grace or Mighty Count or anything along those lines would be appropriate.
The Queen has agreed to look into the spying issue and try to prevent a recurrence of the unfortunate events that prompted our trip. And we've brought back some acrobats who are excited to get to ply their trade on the stage of the great Count Louis Auguste.
Excellent, excellent. And you know, he sees Delitia and the two other gymnasts there, and he kind of surveys them and says, "Yes, it looks like they will do nicely. Attendant, come here and take care of these visitors from Valhellion. Take them to some nice lodgings, and we will soon get them oriented into what is required of them." And so they are kind of taken away. And he looks at BuPu and says, "BuPu, well done. I trust that these gymnasts, these acrobats, will have the athletic skills needed for these human pendulum routines that I require of them."
Yes.
BuPu,
Very good.
why do you look so sad? You should be happy, overjoyed.
BuPu happy. Master happy.
Well, yes, I tell you, I am happy, but I am doubly happy now, because while you were gone, I made a new discovery. Something that will bring my theatrics to an even higher level. What I've discovered, it crossed my mind that when somebody is seeing a theatrical spectacle, for them to be impacted, not only does the performance need to be awesome, but also they need to be in the right frame of mind, right? I mean, they need to be in the right frame of mind, and their senses need to be at a heightened state to bring them to some level of ecstasy or some level of high sublime appreciation of the art that they are looking at. And it crossed my mind, what if they could take something before watching a spectacle? What if there was some type of drug or something that they could take that would arouse their senses to an even higher level? And I put some of my scientists to work on this, and they have found something that is very, very promising. They have a substance that they've created to activate the receptive faculties of the audience, to have their senses opened up. And I'm going to call this substance that they've created Malvonian Magic Mash. It's a little drink that an audience member or audience members can take. Malvonian Magic Mash. And I agree it needs a little further testing, but it's been promising. I did as one of the early test subjects when my scientists were finished with it. Do you remember, BuPu? You remember Tomas? Tomas, yes.
From Mountain.
Yeah, he was trying to kind of make a little escape, but we caught him.
Caught Tomas?
Yes, we caught him, and we gave him some of the early, an early mixture of the Malvonian Magic Mash. And at least for about 15 minutes, I could see that it was working. Now after the 15 minutes, I don't know, it maybe it was a little too potent or too strong, but it kind of seems to have some unfortunate side effects. And he clicks his fingers, and another attendant comes in bringing Tomas. And you can, Tomas right now, he doesn't look like the same guy. He looks very, doesn't really have any emotional reaction. He seems to be very flat. And he kind of is just kind of looking around, but not really focusing on anything at this point. I mean, it's like he's looking around, but like nothing really kind of keeps his attention. And he has a kind of flattened face. He looks at you, but there's not really any sign of recognition or anything that he has. And Louis says, I need more test subjects. And I need you to help me out. I think that the scientists have told me that the best test subjects are people who are maybe initially going to be a little skeptical about this, or people who are, since it's activating their senses, people who have like dulled or absent senses could be good test subjects. And BuPu, you know that daft old woman who sells sweets in the town square who's blind? You have a special connection with her, right?
She give BuPu candy.
Yeah, and she cannot see, is that correct?
Yes.
She is exactly the type of person that I need. I need you to go and bring her to me, and I want to use her as one of my next test subjects.
But you have more tests since Tomas?
I've been testing it on a few other people. We are refining it. We're this close to having it figured out.
But not yet.
Well, that's why we need tests. And this woman's name, her name is Rosalind, right?
Rosalind.
BuPu, I need you to go and get Rosalind and bring her to me. Okay?
BuPu no want Rosalind hurt.
BuPu, you made me very happy, but now I'm not as happy with you because you seem to be resisting this a little bit. And he approaches you and kind of hovers over you, and he clicks his fingers and has a couple guards, beefy guys, come over as well. And he says, BuPu, I need you to do this. It is very important. Am I understood?
Yes.
Should we, I think maybe this would be the
roll
time
resist.
to roll
Like,
to
I
resist.
really am not. Yeah, like,
Yep.
oh, there are a lot of dice there. All right. I'm gonna clear those because I'm just confused by that many dice.
I'd also like to mention at this time, because I don't think people have noticed, that my internet is cut out twice this game. Like for like 2 minutes, I just have I go from fast internet to like zero internet, and then it comes back, and I'm able to like get right back into the thing. So, but I've like missed like a little bit of that interaction. I think I have a sense of what happened. I don't know if we have to rewind, but just to let you know, like for reasons I do not understand, like it seems like my service provider is just like completely cutting out to zero for 2 minutes at a time and then coming back for no reason.
Yeah, but did you get that Louis Auguste has a new kind of drug that he's experimenting?
I got that part. Yeah, and that Tomas, that something happened to Tomas, that he was changed.
Tomas was given the drug, but it has some unfortunate side effects that don't seem to be particularly good.
Okay, but we don't know exactly what. He's just
well, but Thomas has been brought out, and he doesn't seem to be the same kind of person, and doesn't seem to recognize BuPu, which he should recognize. That his brain does not seem to be functioning the way it should.
Okay, and now he wants it tested on Rosalind.
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll go on and do that roll. And he's putting in definitely as the intimidation factor is going on here for him. So you're going to roll love minus weariness.
Which is the same as last time. So,
yeah.
Right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
So 1 die. Three.
Oh, that's the highest you could get. And then he has fear. And what is your self-loathing?
It is 1. So
it is 1. So he rolls 5. That was very close because he only got 5 points, but the intimidation, the fear factor here is going to win out. And he says, BuPu, you need to do this. And to make sure that you do it, my friendly guards will accompany you. Off you go.
So I think, earlier, I think it's a bit too late now that BuPu wanted to sort of yell out for Tomas and like run over to him. But I guess if she's surrounded by guards, she can't. But I think she's going to quote an aphorism to Louis Auguste. She can't resist and she's going to go, I guess. But she's going to call over her shoulder. that, dang it, I like had one pulled up. Well, I had a bunch pulled up for like trying to resist him, but I'll take this. So I'm going to yell over my shoulder. The one who oppresses others is always a coward.
And Louis Auguste says, that sounds like some memorized aphorism. I hope you didn't mean that to apply to me.
A wet one fears no rain.
I'm not oppressive. I'm simply a visionary. There's a difference. Off you go. And you know, the guards will kind of take you by the arm and kind of lead you off so that you can go to Rosalind. And Louis Auguste will turn on his heel and approach Handsome Hal and says, Hal, as I said, you know, the drug is this close to being perfected, and the best test subjects are those who either have dulled senses or who are skeptical. And I know about your brother, Plain Pete. I had wanted him to join you in some of these prosthetic enhancements, and he refused. I need you, Handsome Hal. And he puts his arm on your shoulder and says, "You've seen how well my ideas have worked. They benefited you. You've been treated well. You are highly respected. Everybody acknowledges your beauty, your handsomeness." Plain Pete wasn't quite as smart as you, was he? But I think I have a use for him now. I would like you to go off to Plain Pete and bring him here. And I think he would be a perfect test case for us. Would you do that for me, Hal?
Okay, so I think Hal's going to have sort of an internal struggle with this before he can say anything to the master, because this all makes a lot of sense, and yet it also feels a little sketchy. Because I mean, in a way, it's consistent with what he was saying to Pete just the other day, but still. So, and I should know by now what you roll to resist.
If you want to roll, it's love minus weariness.
Love minus weariness, yeah. So I'm up to 3 on that. So let's try doing that. And especially because this is our last session, we should make our best effort to break free of the master. So I'll roll my 3 of them there. I got a total of 3.
Yeah, well, and he gets fear plus self-loathing, so he's going to get 11
Jeez.
to roll. And just for kicks, we'll do this. Yeah, so you're not going to be able to resist.
So I think Hal just has like just a moment of hesitation as he like thinks through, is this really a good idea? But you know, it kicks in that this is, you know, consistent with what he'd been saying to Pete the other day anyway, and you know, he just saw how Pete is like a grave digger, and like what kind of a life is that really? And if, you know, if the test goes well, then maybe he'll see the light and so forth. So I think, you know, he has just that moment of hesitation, you know, maybe just enough for the Count to notice, but then he very quickly says, "Oh, of course, Your Grace, I will bring him here immediately." and kind of hustles off to do that.
Okay. And then, so you go off for that mission, and then finally he turns to EkEk and says, EkEk, first of all, please, have this drink. It's the finest bourbon, but I must say your smell right now is a little bit overpowering. Here, take some of this. It will do you good, and it will do me good if you have a little swig of this nice bourbon. So, EkEk, are you there? Is he frozen?
I would
Well-
assume so, since his picture disappeared.
His picture, Stentor, is his picture on your screen? Oh,
You're
you're
muted.
you're muted.
Sorry, I see his picture, but it's not moving. So I assume his connection has frozen.
Yep.
And now he dropped off. I just saw him drop off.
Jerk internet. How rude. It's gonna have to be one of you who goes against the master. I have low stats in everything. I'm never gonna be able to do anything other than be sad, pretty much. So
I have so much self-loathing that I don't know that I could ever beat the master, since he gets to roll with my self-loathing.
So Walter, Louis
I'm
Auguste,
back. I disappeared again for a minute.
but Louis Auguste, so he has sent off BuPu and Handsome Hal to get some test subjects, and now he's turning to you.
Okay,
And he says, EkEk, I'm especially happy with you. And he does offer you some bourbon. I mean, your odor is getting to him. He says, I'm very happy with you, but I tell you, your odor is a bit much. Have some of this bourbon. It's very good stuff, and it will do you a world of good. It will do me an even bigger world of good if you would have some of this bourbon.
No, I have a headache. I cannot drink anymore. No.
I just can't take your stench, EkEk. But I would say that I'm happy with you. I heard what you did to that spy from Valhellion.
Yes, he was working for the Queen of Valhellion, he said. Yes, he was bad, man.
I agree. And you acted decisively and appropriately to deal with that problem. If you can't take my bourbon, at least stand off a little bit, please, because you are What have you been eating of late? Listen, EkEk, I need another favor of you.
Yes, master.
You know that I need some test subjects for this magic mash that my scientists have developed.
Okay.
And I was thinking, who would be good? Who would be a good test subject for this? You may not know this, but in my younger days, I was a little indiscriminate in terms of who I had affairs with. And nobody needs to know this, but I have a son who's been a kind of thorn in my side. because, well,
You have a son? He looks like you, eh? How old is he? Is he baby?
no, he's not a baby, but
Oh.
he's look, you are not to tell anybody that I have a son. He is down in the village, and his name is Orlan Dalmore, and
Oh, Orland, he's the baker. I know Orland. He
okay,
leaves bread. He leaves bread. I eat the bread.
okay,
Good bread he makes.
okay. Well, have you ever noticed a physical resemblance?
Ah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, there's a reason for that.
The widow's peak. You would both have the widow's peak. Yeah.
Yes, yes. And we have that distinctive Auguste nose that you may have noticed. That kind of aquiline, thin nose that we both have. Look, I think he would be worthwhile using as a test subject. I think he has a sense of who his father is, and he certainly would be skeptical of things that I would be attempting. And the pharmacologists, the drug scientists, have told me, people who are skeptical would be especially good as test subjects to make sure that we have the Malvonian magic match just right. I need you to retrieve Orlan and bring him here so that he can be tested.
Oh. But he won't be hurt, no? He'll be okay, yeah?
He will not be physically harmed, no. All he
Ah.
needs to do is to drink my mash, have his senses awakened, put himself in a higher state, and then he will watch one of my magnificent theatrical spectacles, and between the actual appearance of the spectacle and his heightened state of mind, he will be transformed.
And then he goes and he'll make bread again, yes?
We'll see. We'll see.
Huh? Oh, but his bread's delicious. Have you tried it? It's delicious. You should bake bread again.
Well, look, all I can tell, I'll be honest with you, EkEk. I can make no promises about how this will turn out. Some of the early experiments have been partially successful, but they've had unusual side effects, and we're getting close, though. And so, EkEk, I need you to do this.
Okay.
And EkEk turns slowly, and he kind of sulks out a little bit, stoop-shouldered.
Okay. And why don't we we'll take a little break here, and then we'll proceed to those scenes and see what transpires. And these scenes will kind of increase. They certainly are going to increase reason, and probably increase love as well. And we'll see hopefully where that puts us in terms of fortifying the minions to perhaps be able to do some resistance work. Okay. So would 5 minutes be good? Okay. So we'll take 5 minutes, and my time, it'll be 10:40. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna, I think, run through these scenes now. Two of these scenes involve encounters with the innocents, right? So I had defined both Rosalind, the woman who sells candies in the square, as an innocent, and also Orlin as an innocent. This is the illegitimate son. And I'd said at the beginning that you know, first of all, with the innocents, anytime they appear, that normally boosts reason by 1, but I had already defined that we would do it by 2. So I'm going to go on and add a total of 4 reason to the mix. So you'll have now be playing with 8 reason, and we'll go on to kind of speed things up. And if there are any overtures that are made now that earn love, that will be at +3. Okay, and we will see where that gets us. So BuPu, let's start with you. And the guards, you have two kind of beefy guards that Louis Auguste has sent with you to. He was, detecting that you were perhaps wavering in your commitment to him, and in carrying out this mission, he felt like, okay, having 2 guards to accompany you as a little extra incentive might be wise, and he has sent you out to recruit Rosalind for this testing of this amazing new substance that he has come across with the help of his scientists. And BuPu, so what do? You know where Rosalind is normally to be found. She has a stall that she sets up in the street where she's normally there selling her nice candies and sweets.
So I think on the way I'm muttering just a bunch of aphorisms to myself, and the guards probably are just weirded out by the whole thing. But I did lose my resist roll, so I think I have to go. So I take them to Rosalind's stall, where she's, hawking her sweets and just being Rosalind-y. And I should start talking to her because she won't know I'm there. Otherwise, presumably. So, Rosalind?
Yes, it is.
Is
that
BuPu?
Oh, BuPu, yeah, that's what I thought. Are you here for some of my sweets?
No give sweets to BuPu today. BuPu come from castle, and Master Auguste asked for Rosalind to come.
He asked for me?
Yes.
Why would he? I mean, I'm just a seller of sweets. What would he need from me? He's never paid me any attention before.
He has drink that is make mind big, and wants Rosalind to take drink.
I don't know that I understand. Make my mind big.
You see more, hear more, think more with drink. He tell BuPu this.
You say see more. So is this supposed to restore my sight? I've lived my whole life without seeing, and I tell you, BuPu, I'm this is who I am. I mean, you know, my lack of sight, you know, I certainly have to require, I have to depend more heavily on my other senses, but, you know, this is something that, you know, I've grown used to.
BuPu. Think Roslyn. Great. Just Roslyn. No need to change. Master. He and BuPu not always think same thing.
Okay, and when you say that, now you know the way this works is you know you have to do the role to resist, and if you fail the role, you know you have to kind of push a little bit in terms of accomplishing this. But you know once you failed the role and you've kind of made some effort, you know your character can then decide to kind of swerve. Which it sounds like you're doing right now, right? That you've, you know, introduced the idea, but now is that correct? That you're now kind of introducing kind of some skepticism about this?
I mean, I'm not actively saying that I'm worried there will be harm, but I'm obviously not being enthusiastic either.
Right. Yeah. And Rosalind, I think, is picking up on that, right? But you have the guards there, and the guards are listening to this exchange. And, you know, one of them kind of nudges you a little bit, kind of making sure that you know that they are there. And, you know, Rosalind says, well, could you just, you know, just go and tell Louis Auguste that I'm flattered that he would take note of me, but you know, I don't really feel like I need to have my sight restored or to take this substance of his. I'm not really interested. I'm content living the life that I am right now.
BuPu here will tell Master.
And Rosalind
But
says, thank you, BuPu. And here, have one of these chocolates. This is a new batch that I just made.
BuPu no take from Rosalind.
It'll make you happy. My sweets always make people happy.
Rosalind candy, best candy. But BuPu no happy today. When the king makes a mistake, all the people suffer. So I think, I mean, I guess it depends on what the guards do at this point. Rosalind has declined, and BuPu is kind of not able to force anyone, and also doesn't particularly want to.
Right. So at BuPu at this point, are you? I mean, the guards are just standing there. At some point, are you gonna walk off?
If they'll let me. I wasn't sure whether they were kind of like
if you walk, yeah, they will let you. If you walk off, though, what's going to happen is one of the guards will walk with you, and the other one is going to stay near Rosalind.
So I would presumably worry that they would hurt her. All right, I'm going to address the guards instead then. And I'm going to start with, if the master gets drunk, it is honorable. If the servant gets drunk, it is a malicious disposition.
Oh, and actually, before we do this, actually, let's do a roll for making an overture, because I mean, I think when you swerved it and we're kind of expressing kind of concerns and reservations, I think that would kind of qualify as a kind of overture, you know, expressing kind of concern for Rosalind.
Sure. So it's reason minus self-loathing. What's the reason now? 8?
8. Mm-hmm.
And then is that including that she's an innocent, and that increases the?
Yeah, I've already. Yeah, the
Okay.
8. Yeah, is including the bonus
So
there.
8 minus 1. So I roll 7. Hey, that's a lot nicer than my usual rolls. So 12.
Yeah, and mine is just fear, which is 4 minus reason, which is 8. But you always get to, if it goes to negative, you always get to roll 1. But this is obviously a moot point. All right, so that's 2. So you're gonna get 3 love out of that exchange.
Well, that's good. Okay, so I'm gonna go to Rosalind here. Well, that's nice. So now I have 5 love rather than 2. That's good, right?
Yes.
Hooray!
And did you want to say anything to the guard that walks off with you?
I think I had decided not to walk off when I realized the other
when you
guard was
realized-
going to stay
okay.
with Rosalind, because,
Okay.
and that's why I'm addressing them.
Okay.
What's fear plus weariness then? Right now, fear is 4, weariness is 2, so that's still 6. And my love is only 5. Ah, so close. Okay. So I've already said the thing about if the master gets drunk, it's honorable. If the servant gets drunk, it's a malicious disposition. Do they respond?
Yeah, I don't know that you're going to get much of a response from them. You know, I guess what they would say is, we know what the orders were from Louis Auguste, and one of them takes you aside and says, look, we know what the orders were, and it would be nice if this woman would come willingly, but if she doesn't come willingly, then it will not be any difficulty for us to force her to come.
You know good. It is better to suffer wrong than to do wrong.
Well,
Rosalind good.
look, we are just going to carry out our orders. It is not wise to defy Louis Auguste. We've seen plenty of examples of what happens to those who defy his wishes.
BuPu no have real life. BuPu no care. The unfortunate is bitten even by a toothless dog, and a day of sorrow is longer than a month of joy. So BuPu say no. And if people no longer fear death, how can you threaten to kill them? What do you do, BuPu? What master do, BuPu?
And the guard that you're talking to, who's been kind of doing most of the talking, he kind of points to the other guard, and that other guard is going to kind of take Rosalind by the arm and says, "Come along." And he's not going to be like really violent with it, but certainly showing his strength. And there's not really much that Rosalind is going to be able to do to resist. And that guard is going to kind of start walking off with Rosalind towards the palace.
I think the only thing I really can do is just yell after her. So, no drink, Rosalind. No drink.
And she will yell back, Don't worry, BuPu. I may be physically not able to resist, but I have a will and an independent mind, and I will be strong. And they go off.
The last thing she can hear before she's out of earshot is just, BuPu, sorry. BuPu, sorry.
All right, let's go and shift the scene now to Handsome Hal. I think you would go and find Plain Pete. We'll put him back at the cemetery, which is normally where you will find him during the day. He at this point he's. I mean, you don't see any activity in the cemetery grounds, but there's a kind of a small kind of house at the center of the cemetery, which is where he would keep his supplies and where when he's not working he would be kind of hanging out at this little kind of shack in the middle of the cemetery.
Okay, so I will go find him and greet him in a suitably brotherly way.
And Pete says, Hal, boy, 2 visits in a week. This is unusual.
I've just come back from Valhellion. I brought you a souvenir I wanted to deliver, and I give him we're going to say it's like a keychain.
Okay.
It says Visit Valhellion on it.
Okay.
Just like a really cheap souvenir that I got while I was there.
He says,
give that to him.
Well, thanks. How was it?
It was quite an experience. It was really broadened my horizons to get outside of our village for really the first time in our lives, right? Like, you see those trees right over there outside the cemetery. You've never been beyond those trees. I had never been beyond those trees until just the other day when we went to Valhellion. And I feel like it's expanded my view of the world. And look, Pete, I've been talking to the Count, and I know you have your qualms about the Count, but he's helped me a lot. You see what he's done for me, that I've gotten to go abroad, and I know that we both always have talked about wanting to get out of here, and now I've gotten to do it. And the Count wants to help you too. The Count doesn't want to see you stuck here digging graves the rest of your life until you get too old to swing a shovel and then turn into a beggar on the streets. Will you come with me to the Count's castle, please, Pete?
Pete says, you're always so caught up in your appearance. I remember how you were before you went off with Louis Auguste. I remember when Auguste came to both of us criticizing, the way that we looked, how we were so plain, and making us promises as to how, with some little modifications, he could make us new men. And it certainly seems to have turned out well for you. But I know all of your beauty. It's just a fake. And look, you can fool a lot of people, but you can't fool me. I can see right through all of that fake cosmetics, and underneath it all, you're just the same old Hal that you always were. And I tell you what, your allegiance to Auguste only makes you even more ugly in my eyes. You know, and when he says that,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Yeah.
you see in his face that he really sees through the false facade, and he's kind of just revolted.
Yeah, and I think he has knowingly or not found exactly the thing to poke at on Hal after having just used his beauty to charm several different people in ways that were, you know, not quite on the up and up. And so he's kind of twisting that, and so I feel like this might be a point at which Hal tries to kind of break free of the grip of the Count's orders and resist actually carrying them out.
All right. Do you want to, before this, I mean, do you want to make some overture to Pete?
I'm trying to think what that would be that would be separate from resisting the orders.
Yeah. So why don't we do the resistance first?
Yeah.
And then if you want to make an overture, then
Yeah, because I feel like if I manage to resist the orders, then that's, you know, the perfect time to make an overture and
Right.
like, you know, apologize to him and all that kind of stuff. But I'm not quite sure what else I could do that's an overture that in this scenario wouldn't involve having to resist the orders, since I have been ordered to bring him in.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to roll fear plus your self-loathing.
Right, and I'm doing reason plus love. So I got 11.
No, for resisting, it's love minus weariness.
Oh, love minus weariness. Sorry. Okay, so I still get 3. Still have trouble keeping track of all the formulas.
Yeah.
Here, I got 6 total.
Yeah, and I
got a lot more.
Yeah, so you can't resist, and so you have to kind of push on him a little bit to.
Right. Well, so my thought, and you can tell me if this works or what mechanics we might have to use to resolve this, is that you know, so, you know, Pete was really getting to Hal, and he kind of internally had to struggle with, should I really carry out these orders? But since I failed to overcome my loyalty to the Count, that I think that what Hal is going to do, and, you know, trying to persuade Pete seems to not really be working, so Pete's very resistant to it, is I want Hal to have one of those, and I can't think what the name for it is, but the little thing that you whack somebody with to knock them out. In various movies, I don't know if it actually works that way in real life.
What, like a blackjack or?
Yeah, I kind of want him, like, we're in the middle of this like heartfelt conversation, and I just, you know, kind of get around next to him where he can't see me, like pull this thing out and just like club him and then drag him back to the castle.
Okay, so this would be a violence against an NPC. Yeah, so like a blackjack or a club or something that you would be trying to. So you get fear plus self-loathing.
So that's a total of 11.
It's going to be a big roll because I'm going to have a lot to roll too.
Yeah, let me clear the room here. Okay. So I'll roll my 11, and oh geez, I got a lot of 4s.
Okay. Well, this may be good. And he gets to roll 8 because you don't have any weariness, correct?
Nope.
At this point. So yeah, and he rolls reason, so that gives him 8 to roll. Yeah, so he's gonna win this one, right?
Yeah, because I got so many 4s.
They don't count for anything. Yeah. So he sees you pull out this blackjack that you've secreted to kind of club him, but he manages to see you before you're able to deliver the blow, and he kind of catches your arm, knocks it, makes it so that it doesn't hit him squarely, and says, "Hal, what has become of you? You are a monster. I mean, you come first of all to persuade me to do something kind of crazy, to go back to the Count. You know that I don't want to have anything to do with him. And then you're going to try to, what, force me to go? What do you think family is, you beast?"
And so I think that Hal kind of just turns and runs out of the building, and as soon as he's like past the door where he's out of sight, you hear him start just like sobbing as he runs.
And yeah, as he runs away, I mean, I think Pete comes to the door and kind of sees you running off, and he says, "Hal, it breaks my heart that it's come to this."
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't think Hal can even look him in the eye.
Okay. All right, let's go to EkEk. And EkEk, you've been sent to go and get Orland. And you know where Orland is, right? He's normally at his bakery.
Mhm.
And you know what your orders are, and Auguste has admitted that this is his son, and he's aware of the son, and wants him delivered to the palace.
Yeah. So I go up and I think I like look in the window and see if anybody else is there in the bakery, see if it's just him or what's going on inside.
But we'll say that he's this is like later in the day, so he's not baking. He's like selling the things that he baked in the morning. He's there with a woman and her 2 kids who are getting some items, but he's just kind of putting the baked goods, a baguette and some cookies in a bag, and taking the money from the woman, and she's now kind of getting her kids together and getting them to walk out the door.
Yeah, so I wait for them to leave, and then I enter the store and I say, "You're Orland, and I'm going to take you to the castle. Come with me."
And Now with Orlin, I know you get bread from him. I mean, is this just kind of remains that he's left behind the store?
Yeah. I think he just like leaves his extra bread out by the
Right,
store so that like anybody can come get it, like poor
right,
people after hours can pick it up or whatever. And EkEk has learned this and sometimes will come
right,
down and
right,
go through whatever he puts out.
right. Well, Orlin says, excuse me, I have some business I'm trying to conduct here. And I tell you, do you want to buy anything here?
Is he like turning up his nose at EkEk smell?
Yes, he is. He is. And
That's awesome.
he says, with you here, I think you may be cutting down on the number of customers who are going to be coming by. Now, if you want to buy something, I certainly would sell something to you, but if I don't think I want to go to the palace. That's quite frankly, that's a place I try to avoid as much as possible.
I think there's this moment now where EkEk wants to resist the master's orders. He's like, "Oh, I know this is bad." EkEk's gonna try and resist the master's orders and just like walk out. So let's see then. That is for me. That is fear plus self-loathing.
No, that's
no. That's for you. I get love minus weariness. All right. So in my case, I have 2 love and 1 weariness. So I still get only 1 die, but at least it's actually 1 die. It's not 0 with it.
Yeah, we'll clear the.
All right. Yeah, clear everything. All right. Come on, 3. Got 2.
And I get to roll 9. Yeah, so you will not be able to resist.
All right. Yeah, so EkEk says, I'm sorry, but I have to take you with me. But I don't want to hurt you. You're a good baker. I like you. You leave your bread out for people, and I like your bread. That's a good person you are. Come with me, and I won't hurt you.
He looks at you up and down, and he says, "Well, I'm glad you enjoy my bread. I leave out bread that hasn't been bought during the day just because it'll go stale, but I'm happy to kind of leave it to those who need it. As I say though, I am sorry, but I cannot go to the palace with you. That is a place that I fear, and Louis Auguste is a man who I would like to deny the relationship that I have with that horrible, horrible count.
He is powerful, man. You must do what he says. He has no mercy. He will hurt you. I will hurt you.
Hold up my talons.
and when you do that, he is quivering, and he kind of goes behind his counter to put the counter between you and him, and says, "Please, please, I will not go willingly with you And if you are going to use force, then that's what you're going to have to use.
You are stupid as you are kind.
And you see
give
that
me
he's
no choice.
He's taken an opportunity to pick up a big rolling pin right now, and he's holding it. He's holding it in his hand, and as a kind of club, though.
Yeah. Well, EkEk swats the bowling pin out of his hand and grabs him by the shoulders and pulls him out of the store and flies away with him.
Okay, so let's roll the violence against an NPC opponent now. So you're going to get fear, which is 4 plus your self-loathing. So that's going to give you 9. And he's going to get to roll 9 because he'll get reason plus weariness.
Ooh, how exciting. All right, so, all right, here goes 9. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, you rolled a number of 4s there, so. And okay.
So did you. All right, got to add all these up. Let's see, I got 6.
I got 10.
8, 9, 10, 11. Squeak it out.
So you are successful. You do swat the bowling pin aside, I mean the rolling pin aside, and you kind of have grabbed him. He's, you know, it was close, right? I mean that he got a swipe in, but you kind of managed to kind of knock it and you know, drag him kicking and screaming out. But I think once you're able to get him aloft, right, there's not really much he can do at that point.
Yeah. And I think I like go out of my way to try and be as gentle with him as I can. And like, you know, I think I like go to, I think I like fly him straight up to like the balcony by the governor, by the Louis study. And I like kind of just drop him off on the balcony, like just outside where Louis is reading or something.
Right.
And then I think I drop him there and I say, "I'm sorry. I hope things go well for you."
Okay. Now, do you want to turn this into an overture that you would be making then? I mean, because you've carried out the order at this point.
Yeah.
You've gotten him there.
Yeah. I think I'll even, maybe I'll say something like, I'll keep an eye on your shop for you. Be well. Something like that.
So you're making some kind of like strained, well, I mean, strained isn't the right word, but you know, some type of like, now that you've gotten him there, are trying to kind of make up in some way for the villainy that you have committed.
Yeah.
Okay,
I had no choice.
And so you're gonna, to make the overture, you're gonna roll reason minus your self-loathing. So the reason is 8, and the self-loathing is 5. So that's gonna give you 3.
Okay.
I just put this in the chat, but it feels like he's being sincere. Can he use this? Like, I feel like I miss opportunities
That's
by not
true.
using
You're right.
Yeah,
desperation.
no, I think that would be, yeah, that seems fair to me.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
So you roll the 4-sided die, and then the sincerity is that the 8-sided? I believe it's 8.
Yeah, that's an 8-sided die.
Yeah, and whatever the number is on the 8-sided die just gets added to the other total.
So then I get 3d4 plus 1 die 8. Wow. Exciting. All right, so I'm going to clear the room. And 3d4 and 1d8. Oh, I rolled an 8. Wow, what a difference that is, huh? So then my total is 14.
Yeah, and then the connection will only roll. Yeah, there's no way. I don't even have to roll it because I'm only going to roll one die. So there's no way that would. So you're going to get the 3 love for that.
Okay. And yeah, what does that look like then?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that what you've once you get them there, you're kind of talking about watching his shop, and I think when you're doing this, along with that sincerity, I think Orlan turns to you and says, Louis Auguste is a horrible, horrible man. And probably one of his greatest horrors is that he forces people to obey his whims. I hold no animosity against you. I've seen plenty of others who have had to carry out Louis Auguste's orders, and I know how hard it is to resist. But he puts his hand on your shoulder and he says, my greatest wish for you is that you could dig deep at some point and find the will to resist this horrible, horrible man.
Yes.
I want to, out of character, I want to say, let's see, I want to suggest something. And I'm totally open to input from the whole table. I just want to suggest. So as far as the triggering endgame goes, I'm 1 love point away. My love equals my fear plus weariness right now. It's not greater than. And given the time, maybe now would be a good time for I'm just thinking and given the moment, I'm thinking maybe my next scene would be me testing for the death of the master. And not that we need to do that right now, but BuPu and Hal could get a scene maybe, and then come back to that for my next thing. Does that seem? What do people think about that idea?
Oh, how about this idea? Because does EkEk have the most love out of everybody right now? Who has the most love?
He has 5. But I think his weariness is less than BuPu's. I think BuPu and EkEk have the same love.
Yeah. Although I'm almost positive I would have more love if I had been paying attention to the special dice. And I also don't know, I wrote this in the chat, but the woman, I forget her name, Norella, something like that. Did I have a love roll with her when I was comforting her after she was frightened and stuff?
Oh yeah, I thought that was going to happen.
Yeah.
I don't know if we ever actually did it, but if we did, then my love would probably go up past my weariness.
Right.
I'm just irritated at myself because I have not been thinking about those. I didn't think about the special dice until a minute ago, and then I forgot about Norella, but I couldn't remember if we did that at the end of last session, or we're supposed to do it this session, or we just didn't do it and I was mistaken. So and I guess maybe it's too late now, but
I would like to, if everybody's in agreement, I would like to try to go through the end game. Because I could imagine that characters could go off to find another connection to kind of play out another scene. But given the time constraint, I don't know that I want to necessarily do that to actually play out the scene.
I could do a really short visit to either Tomas or Rosalind if that's possible in the castle.
Yeah. Yeah, would that be okay with everybody to say that? Okay, that BuPu found an opportunity to kind of get connected to Rosalind as she was awaiting, the test that she would be subjected to.
Yeah, I mean, personally, and I would strongly suggest that we just kind of like retcon that and give people a couple, like another point or two of love as they need it, because like I think the end game is going to take time to resolve.
Right. So why don't we do this? Why don't we have everybody add, like, we'll just retcon that everybody would have another scene with a connection that would give them 3 love. Okay. So everybody just add 3 love to a connection.
So having done that, I trigger the end game no matter what. And given that my plan was to try to like drink the stuff like secretly so Rosalind didn't have to, I feel like that would have been a love and desperation or something roll anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I added 3 to Rosalind, which gives me a love score now of, I think, 8.
Mm-hmm.
And my -2 weariness is 6 and reason is 4. Am I getting that right? Or sorry, fear is 4. Am I getting that right in terms of the formula?
Why don't we do this? Because what happens for the end game is that the master would give a command, and it's when a minion is able to resist the command, and when they have also love greater than fear plus weariness. So what I'm thinking, maybe the way to do this is have each of you just quickly roll your love minus weariness. And we'll see who has the highest number for that. And we'll just say that is the minion who successfully resisted the master. That'll allow kind of the mechanic to perhaps point us to the minion who actually triggers this.
Well, do we want to jump right to the wait, would that be, I'm a little confused. Are you suggesting that we determine like which one of us like triggers the end game, or to actually win the test against the master? I mean, that's like a thing in itself, right? Is like the minions need to test against the master and they might fail that roll, and so the master might like...
Yeah, I was thinking of having everybody roll their love minus weariness to see who had the highest number, and we would just say, oh, that would be then the minion that was successful in resisting the master and therefore instigated the final confrontation with the master.
Okay, but then the master would also roll against that one to like see whether or not they succeeded. Is that the idea?
I'm just going to assume that whoever gets the highest roll, I'm not going to roll for the master. I'm just going to assume whoever rolled the highest number was the one that was most effective, right? Had the most force in resisting the master, and therefore triggering the end game.
Because there are a lot of things in the end game, right? Like it says several scenes intercut with the struggles of the other minions.
Yes.
Before he dies, and then like all this stuff. So if we want to do all of that.
I think I have a way to speed that up, though, because I think if we do this in a way where the minions are in the same location, are all in the same location, so that they would all be there, they wouldn't be scattered around the town, but they would be right there, right, ready to go.
I mean, I'm okay with EkEk not being the one to confront the master for him. I'm just kind of suggesting that I think it's time that like one of the minions confront the master.
Right.
And then like once that happens, I think the fear is no longer applied to rolls.
Correct.
And so then like we could have other scenes, like EkEk might then, you know, be doing other things with or without the master around, but like the fear wouldn't influence the role. So I don't know. It's just like, it'd be interesting to see how that would change scenes. But
and is
but
everybody
whatever,
is
open though.
Is everybody in a position right now where your love is greater than your fear plus weariness? Is that the case with everybody?
Yeah, with the extra point you had.
Yeah, with the extra ones that you gave us. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So let me just go on, and everybody, if you'll roll your love minus weariness, because that's kind of like the power of your resistance to the master. And I'm just going to have you roll that and see who has the most powerful resistance to the master through the mechanic that is given with that formula of resisting a command.
Okay, so who's going first? Just so we don't all.
I rolled. I'm scooting them off to the side here. I only got a total of 5, so you've got another 4 4s.
Oh, that's yucky. All right, Walter.
It looks like I got 9.
Nice. And it's love minus self-loathing, is that right? No, love minus weariness.
Correct.
All right, so that means I have 6 dice to roll. So I only got 7 because 3 of them were 4s.
Okay. So the idea here is then with that set of rolls, EkEk was the one who had the most force in resisting the master. So we're going to then say this was the situation. The master was happy, EkEk, that you dealt with Smeeth. But the master says to you, but obviously Smeeth was only part of the problem. It has come to my attention that Smeeth was actually in cahoots with Arvis, the person who takes care of the carrier pigeons. I need you to deal with Arvis the same way that you dealt with Smeeth. And then I will just find another person to tend to the carrier pigeons.
No. Arvis is kind to birds. Arvis only sends the birds. Arvis is not a spy. Arvis helped me. He helped me get the spy.
And when you say that, Louis Auguste says, this is the last piece of defiance I am going to take from you, you smelly flying rodent. And he kind of takes the back of his hand and just smacks it against EkEk's face.
I hate you. I hate you.
And I take my claws and I jump at him.
Okay. So the way this works then, the end game, okay, so what it says is when the triggering event occurs, which this is, the GM dramatically suspends the conflict with the master and cuts to each of the other players in sequence, aggressively framing them into dangerous and threatening scenes of their own, which they must resolve without the benefit of fear. If they're in a fight with townspeople, for instance, during the end game, they only roll self-loathing to act with hostility. Fear no longer contributes to their effectiveness. One round of scenes that way, and the action returns to the minion locked in the conflict with the master. Okay. Here's what I would say. With BuPu, let us say that the conflict here is actually one between one of the guards and you. And a guard has come up to you. It was one of the guards that was there when you were dealing with Rosalind. And the guard approaches you and says, "It came to the master's attention, to Louis Auguste's attention, that you weren't really the one who got Rosalind here. And unfortunately, you are going to have the same fate alongside Rosalind." And he kind of says, "Off we go to the waiting room where the test subjects are sitting and getting ready to take the magic mash and to watch some spectacle and to have their consciousness and awareness raised." So BuPu, what do you do?
No. BuPu no go.
Well, BuPu, it doesn't matter whether or not you want to go or not. You are going. And so he's going to kind of physically take you.
He's going to try.
He's going to try, yes.
BuPu yells out, let's see. "Better to die on your feet than live on your knees." And she just attacks him.
Okay.
With all of the strength in her little body, just runs at him head first.
Okay. So you're going to be rolling with yourself. Fear is suspended, right? So it's just going to be self-loathing that you would be rolling with.
I have very little of that, I think. But that is okay. She's unlikely to beat the guard, realistically, anyway. So I got a 3.
Okay. And it's gonna. What is your weariness, BuPu?
2.
All right. So he's gonna get 10.
10. Stupid guard. I hope my headbutt at least gives him a stomachache.
He actually rolled a lot of 4s, but he still has enough to take you. And yeah, so you kind of headbutt him, and he goes oof. But by then, he has his arms around you, and he kind of picks you up and is hauling you off now to join Rosalind. And then Handsome Hal. Here is your scene. You ran off, and you are obviously sad by, I think, the turn of events that has happened. But Plain Pete has come after you, and he's brought some of your cousins as well. And he confronts you. Where would you be? I mean, where would you have run off to that he would find you?
So what I had been kind of envisioning, that if we had had enough time to play it all out, was that Hal went back to the inn where he had found Brigitte, the reporter, way back in our first session, um, to kind of talk to her. And so that's where I'd put that when you let us just add some extra love. I had put that there with the idea that he would kind of spill his guts to her because she might be able to get that information out, since he's now feeling so conflicted about what he's had to do for the Count.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, let's put it there at the end, and she's been sympathetic to you, right? That she's kind of sat down with you at the end to kind of hear about things, and you feel like she's being kind of empathetic to you. But then in the midst of this conversation, you see Plain Pete with two of your cousins, we could say Stephen and Paul. So Stephen and Plain Paul as well, who show up. And Pete points, says, I finally found you. Hal, I've got Stephen and Paul with me. It's time that we kind of worked it out, what has happened to you. We're fed up with the way you've changed. And quite frankly, we're fed up with Louis Auguste and the influence that he's had on you.
Okay, so they're staging an intervention. Yeah, so I think at this point Hal is in rough shape mentally, and so he'll sit down with them to hear them out.
Okay. And Plain Pete, he when you all sit down, he says to everybody, and Brigitte is there as well, kind of confused as to what's happening. And the first thing that Pete says is, he looks around to the others and says, and especially at Brigitte, and says, "Don't let Hal's sweet smile fool you. We all knew the way he was before he got those augmentations from Louis Auguste. And it may have given him a false appearance of beauty, but if you look at him carefully, you'll see that he's no handsome guy at all. He's an ugly, horrible beast." And Brigitte, you can see when he says that Brigitte also sees through the facade at this point, and kind of stands, kind of is shocked at kind of, as she looks at you kind of carefully, right? That you get a sense that any kind of veneer that had been kind of working on her is no longer at play.
Yeah, and I think Hal, like, this is cutting deep, just like the stuff that Pete was saying before, but he can't express that because that's a negative emotion, and so I think what he does is he picks up one of the, like, I'm envisioning this is where they're like sitting at a table in the kind of bar/restaurant area of this inn, and so he picks up like an empty beer bottle that was there and smashes himself across the face with it, and like breaks his beautiful nose, and slashes up the side of his face with the broken glass.
Okay. I like that. I think that gets a reaction from everybody. Everybody's surprised that you would do such a thing. But I do feel like with Pete in particular, he would kind of recognize the symbolic nature of that action and that what you've done, because he's known about the enhancements, and he knows that, oh, now you've done this thing. And I'm kind of inclined to say, why don't we count this as an overture that you're making to Pete?
Yeah, I think definitely.
Yeah. So we would roll reason minus self-loathing is what you would roll.
Okay.
And he's only going to get one.
That comes to 1 for me.
Well, and that's all that he's going to get to roll as well. So, oh,
and of course I got a 4 again.
Oh, and
he got a 4.
He got a 4. Well, and I don't think this has happened before, but what it says is if there's a tie, something happens to kind of interrupt this, and I think that what happens is that, I think it has to do with the blood, and what happens to kind of interrupt it is that people are just kind of worried about like the mess that you're creating, and so they kind of intervene, like when there was about to be a kind of connection being made. People come in with like a serving person comes up with a bunch of towels and kind of puts it over your face to kind of take care of the blood and make sure that you're not making any bigger a mess than what you need to. Walter, are you there? Because we can come back to Walter now. Okay, Walter, we're back to you. So you are now involved in this violent confrontation with the master, and you I guess both have you have your claws in him. Tell me what you do with him at this point, or what would you be attempting to do with him at this point?
I would you know what? I think it would be like poetic justice if I like killed him the way that he was asking me to kill Arlon. So I think I'm gonna like tear him up with my talons a little bit, and then try and take him fly out the window with him.
Okay. Yeah. So with that, in this end confrontation, you're gonna roll love minus weariness.
Okay. So let's see. And you gave each of us an extra 3 love.
Correct.
Right? So I guess I would take that with Orland since he said he was so nice to me. All right. So I actually get 7 dice. That's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I suppose I was not particularly like sincere or intimate with him, so I don't think I'll take any extra die.
Yeah, you do. I mean, if you do something that would activate that, I don't know what the violent confrontation though, like how those extra die would kind of come into play. I mean, this is like just a straight out kind of physical.
I mean, maybe if there was like a desperation or something, but I don't feel like that was really the place where it came from. I think it was more just like anger and.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm gonna roll the 7. Okay. Not so great.
And the master now the master does get fear here. The fear just no longer contributes to the effectiveness when it's against the townspeople. But with this one, he rolls fear plus self-loathing. So his fear is 4. And then what is your self-loathing?
Oh, it's pretty good. It's like 6. What is it? It's 6, yeah.
So he would roll 10. Yeah, so he
blew me away.
Yeah. So you would not succeed. I mean, you would kind of claw him up a little bit, but then when you try to kind of fly off with him, I think what he would take is he kind of actually reaches out and grabs one of your wings and kind of like tries to crack it a little bit so that you're kind of not effective in being able to kind of get him aloft. And then what happens at that point also is it says that anytime the master wins, each time the master wins a roll against the minion gains a point of weariness.
Okay.
You know, and it maybe makes sense that like some slight damage that he's caused to the wing, because he kind of saw what you were trying to do and kind of tried to kind of give a little bit of damage. So that's what the kind of weariness is now, is you've got like a little physical injury on that wing.
Yeah.
All right, so let me ask you because we're getting close to midnight, at least my time. We're getting close to our end time. What would happen here is what the rules say is it just keeps going around at this point. You can get to the point where if a minion makes the way over, that they can offer some assistance to they could offer some assistance. I feel like BuPu would be the closest one to be in that position because she's at the palace as well. And Pearl, are you there?
Yeah, there's like a 0% chance that BuPu wouldn't be trying to help with this.
Right.
And I think like she's lived in the castle her whole life.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she would like if she's left in the waiting room under the assumption that everyone in the waiting room to get the mash stuff is just stuck there, that she would know like a secret way out.
Yeah.
And having heard the commotion, which sounds like it's probably quite loud, given that EkEk is generally quite loud and there's a fight, that she would find her way there.
Right.
And attempt to help.
Right. So do you want to do that once? We could try one round with BuPu trying to offer aid and give EkEk one last chance to see if there was a success against the master.
Yeah, how does it work with my helping him? Like, what do I?
Well, what you would roll for the aid? So we could have kind of imagined that BuPu was put in the waiting room. I think a lot of people probably underestimate BuPu.
I think everybody underestimates
right,
BuPu,
and yeah, BuPu would have perhaps an opportunity to kind of get out and kind of hear the commotion that was going on. To provide aid, you contribute love minus weariness in dice.
Okay, so that is for me 6 dice.
Okay, so that would give EkEk an additional 6 dice to roll. And BuPu, what would you do to try to assist him? Like if BuPu managed to get to the room, I think what you would see is the Louis Auguste and EkEk are involved in a very physical, violent kind of confrontation. You also see that EkEk has one of his wings that has been damaged a little bit as well.
I think what I would do probably.
And let's put this. Let's say that this is in the big library that he has.
Okay. I think what I would do is, like, I've snuck in through a secret passageway, and I'm very good at sneaking. That's like one of my only skills is like sneaking around unnoticed. And I think as I see that EkEk is maybe getting overpowered, I probably literally just like get as close as I can and wait until there's a moment where it looks like there's an opening, and then like hurl myself into the back of Louis Auguste's knees so he'll be knocked off his feet. I know from experience from my dog, who happens to have paws that are exactly back of knee height when he jumps, that hitting someone in the back of the knees really makes them almost fall over, even if it's just a tiny dog. So, so yeah, I think BuPu just cannonballs him to knock him off his feet.
Right, which would not be in itself physically damaging to him, but certainly if EkEk is then able to kind of seize the advantage of that, right, that would kind of give EkEk added opportunity to kind of unleash some onslaught against him.
Yeah, I think that's sort of BuPu's whole point.
Yeah,
is like she can't probably do much physical damage because she's BuPu, right?
Mhm.
But she can like try to give EkEk the jump on him, you know,
Yeah.
which is why she waited a moment before doing it. Like she waits for the
right. And given the way that this would go down, it's probably likely that EkEk would also see BuPu there, right, and would see that there was like something that BuPu was attempting to do to assist, right, in this attack. All right, so EkEk, let's get you to roll, and you're going to get an additional 6 dice with this, but you also get that one added weariness that's gonna. So it's love minus weariness plus the 6 aid dice.
Okay, that's a total of 12d4 against the master's 11d4.
Don't roll any 4s now.
Yeah, right. I keep trying to think if I could justify taking like an intimacy die or something. I mean, maybe like a desperation, but I don't know. It's
I
like,
think you could feel desperation now that your wings hurt. Like
yeah,
you've
now that my
gone
wing
one
is hurt.
round and lost, which would make you scared, I imagine.
And yeah, maybe desperation, especially if you were going to try the same maneuver, but realizing that you're going to try the same maneuver now, but with one of your wings where you're not really certain, right, if it's going to have the lift that you would need.
And
Okay.
I like to think, I mean, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's your character, but that EkEk is fond of BuPu, and now BuPu's involved
Yeah.
and has like
Yeah,
is at
I think
risk.
so too.
Yeah.
And
Not wanting
probably
BuPu to
at
get
this
hurt.
point pretty beat up because she's like cannonballed a guard and like been beating him
Yeah.
earlier, and she feels whatever pain she inflicts. So the harder she went in that guard, the harder, and then she knocks the master in the back of the knees with like her full body. So she's probably
I do think
whimpering on the
that
ground.
connection, that personal connection that you have with BuPu, would count for something. So let's go on. The desperation gives you another D6 that you would add.
So I'm gonna go ahead and roll that. And only 2 4s. That's a pretty good start.
Yeah.
Great
let's
roll.
see.
And I get, and what is your self-loathing again?
6.
So I'm rolling 10. All right. So 10 and so you would be successful here. And so the master effectively is killed as a result of this confrontation. The last thing with the end game has to do with epilogues, and I think that this is up on the character sheet. There are epilogue constraints. So if you go to the bottom of the character sheet, you kind of, it again has additional formula, right? If weariness is greater than reason plus self-loathing, your minion flees, runs, wanders off, giving up on the struggle. If your minion's self-loathing plus weariness is greater than love plus reason, the minion is killed. If self-loathing is greater than weariness plus reason, the minion destroys itself, so on and so forth. And what he says is that if two or more of those apply, that you get to choose then. So where does everybody wind up with respect to that?
I think the only one that applies to me is the fourth one with integrating into society, which seems unlikely, but that is my constraint, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's the one that applies to me too.
Okay. And what about for EkEk?
I'm still doing all the formulas. Okay, yeah. So I'm also number 4 is the only one that applies. Minion integrates itself into the society of townspeople.
Okay, so everybody's going to be integrated back into the society. So could we do quickly like what that would look like? I mean, a quick little epilogue. Trying to imagine like how this integration would happen. It may have, you know, one possibility would be to also look at your connections and to see whether one or more of your connections might be involved in that.
Who wants to go
So
first?
I have an idea of
Okay.
how Hal's life goes. So you know, last we saw he was smashing himself up with that bottle, and you know, even though people rushed in and like did first aid and stuff, he messed himself up real good. So he's now known as Hideous Hal. And
has some scars.
Yeah, real nasty scar. His nose is like bent at a 90-degree angle. Like he's in rough shape from that. And I think after he heals, he gets a job as the local correspondent for some of the foreign newspapers in town. So he doesn't get to travel abroad anymore, but he at least gets to work with the media from outside.
Does he continue a relationship with Birgitta?
I think a strictly professional relationship. I think she feels sorry for him after all this and helps him set up these these connections to be like a freelance correspondent.
Okay.
And then she heads off to Valhellion or wherever else her reporting career takes her.
All right. Walter, do you have any ideas for EkEk as to
yeah, it's an interesting question. So, I mean, it sounds like EkEk basically murdered the noble here in town, and I'm wondering kind of what the consequences for that would be. And I'm thinking maybe like I'm thinking maybe like Orland and BuPu were the only people who actually saw EkEk like drop the master's body from outside the balcony, and so it was just kind of like enough people hated the master that it was basically chalked up to like, oh, it was an accident. He fell off his balcony. So I think EkEk kind of gets off the hook for that. And I think that I want to say just for a happy little ending that Orlin, after EkEk's wing heals up, that Orlin realizes EkEk would be great for his business as his delivery person, and EkEk delivers fresh bread to throughout the region every morning.
Does he do so in a drunken state?
I think he just drops off the bread, quickly and departs.
And does it early morning before people? Does it early
yeah,
enough
that might be it. That might
during,
be what it is. Yeah, and everybody always knows when he's on his way because they can always smell. It's like, oh, I that's the smell of fresh bread.
It also crossed my mind that maybe one of the rumors that goes around in terms of the death of Louis Auguste is that he had tried out some of his aerial acrobatics himself, right? Some of the equipment or
That's
something.
That's great. I love that.
Awful fall, and a lot of people think, well, fitting end, right, to that
That's
tyrant.
Brilliant. Yeah, I wish I'd been clever enough to say that. Let's say that EkEk was cleverer than I was, and that he actually went and dropped him over his own equipment, so that it looked like he fell from his own equipment. That's brilliant.
Okay, how about BuPu? How does BuPu get integrated?
So this would have to be sort of with EkEk agreeing, but I think that BuPu really isn't in a place to fully integrate with society. But I think, she's bonded with EkEk, and in my mind, maybe they become little housemates in a cabin on the edge of the city where no one's gonna complain about smell and whatever else. And he goes off and delivers the bread, and she sort of gave up on life a long time ago, and so just not being under anyone's thumb and having someone who doesn't mind that she talks the way she talks is a better life than she ever envisioned for herself. So I think she's pretty content. Just, no one in the town ever disliked her particularly. And I like to think that Rosalind escaped or that all the people were let go after the master. So she goes into town and visits Rosalind and just generally lives a quiet life. Maybe sometimes asks EkEk to fly her somewhere to just see a different part of the world for a minute. And doesn't need to go into those places or anything else, but just wants to see life outside where she's known. And otherwise is pretty content just to not have to do anything terrible, just to be herself with someone who doesn't ignore her. Yeah, it's in her mind the best life she could have.
Yeah, and
but that's with EkEk's consent to being little cottage mates.
Oh yes, EkEk is very happy with that.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think generally the idea with the defeat of the master is that the townspeople are generally kind of relieved that the master is gone. So yeah, I would imagine that the experiment that Louis Auguste was interested in carrying out after his death would not have gone forward, right? And I haven't identified who his successor would be, but certainly somebody who would not have quite the crazy ideas that Louis Auguste had.
Maybe it could be what's his nose? The legitimate son.
Yeah, maybe. Yes.
Maybe Orlin comes people. I don't know how they would believe him that he was the illegitimate, but maybe he comes to power, and since we identified him as an innocent, presumably he'd be a benevolent ruler and
somebody who people kind of realize is filled with kind of kindness and mercy and somebody very, very different. And people, I guess, would see a resemblance, right? So that it wouldn't be totally far-fetched. Some people might even know that in his younger years, Louis Auguste, right, had some flings, right? And so...
and they know him from town, right? And I think to
that's a
go
lot
with
nicer than what I was going to suggest.
I was if EkEk still wants to deliver the bread, right? Maybe like he still likes his hobby of baking, so now he's like the king who bakes, and EkEk still gets to deliver the bread.
So, Stentor, what were you thinking of?
I was going to say that Queen Sophia saw this as a prime opportunity to expand her domain.
Right. Yeah, I could see that as well. She obviously has, Valhellion has been noting the developments over there, and people had taken some interest in that. So yeah, I could see that as a possibility as well. Yeah, and they had no love. They had no love for Louis Auguste, right? And yeah,